Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever it is where you are. I am reading the last section, section 29 of the Manual for Teachers. As for the rest, if you'd like to join me in prayer. Dear Father, if left to my own devices, my perception will be skewed. I surrender to you everything that I think and feel. God, please take my past, plan my future, send your spirit to redeem my mind that I might be set free. May I be your channel, God, and serve the world. May I become who you would have me be, do what you would have me do, go where you would have me go, and say what you would have me say, and to whom, dear God. God, please allow me to set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. And so it is. Amen. I love you. As for the rest, this manual is not intended to answer all questions which both teacher and pupil might raise. In fact, it covers only a few of the more obvious ones in terms of a brief summary of some of the major concepts in the text and workbook. It is not a substitute for either, but merely a supplement. While it is called a manual for teachers, it must be remembered that only time divides teacher and pupil, so the difference is temporary by definition. Footnote 223, Manual 2:5, sentence 8, and thus he who was the learner becomes the teacher of God himself. See also chapter 3 in the text. Section 9, paragraph 2. It is not true that the difference between pupil and teacher is lasting. They meet in order to abolish the difference. That time divides teacher and pupil means that the pupil will be a teacher, even though he is not now. For this reason, the Manual for Teachers can be profitably read by pupils, as the very next sentence says. In some cases, it may be helpful for the pupil to read the manual first. Others might do better to begin with the workbook. Still, others may need to start at the more abstract level of the text. Which is for which? Who would profit more from prayers alone? Who needs but a smile, being as yet unready for more? Footnote 224. To understand these sentences about prayers and a smile, we need to remember that the question that precedes them, which volume is for which pupil, is about the pupil of a teacher, see 1.5. We also need to note, as the rest of the above paragraph implies, the person meant to answer that question is the teacher. See paragraph 2.5. Through seeking the guidance of the Holy Spirit. In light of all this, the above sentences mean the following. Which prospective pupils would profit more from just the teacher's prayers, rather than from any of the course's volumes? Which prospective pupils need but a smile from the teacher, being as yet unready for the course itself? It's probably best to call these individuals prospective pupils, because the possibility exists that they aren't ready for the course. And in these two sentences, they clearly aren't. In which case, it wouldn't be appropriate to label them pupils of a course teacher. Back to the text. No one should attempt to answer these questions alone. Footnote 225. The questions that the teacher must ask the Holy Spirit are these. Which of my pupils should start with which volume of the course? Which prospective pupils are not even ready for the course and would benefit more from just my prayers and a smile? Back to the text. Surely no teacher of God has come this far without realizing that. The curriculum is highly individualized and all aspects are under the Holy Spirit's particular care and guidance. Ask and he will answer. The responsibility is his, and he alone is fit to assume it. To do so is his function. To refer the questions to him is yours. Would you want to be responsible for decisions about which you understand very little? Be glad you have a teacher who cannot make a mistake. His answers are always right. Would you say that of yours? There is another advantage, and a very important one, in referring decisions to the Holy Spirit with increasing frequency. Perhaps you have not thought of this aspect, but its centrality is obvious. To follow the Holy Spirit's guidance is to let yourself be absolved of guilt. I'm going to repeat that. To follow the Holy Spirit's guidance is to let yourself be absolved of guilt. It is the essence of the atonement. It is the core of the curriculum. The imagined usurping of functions not your own is the basis of fear. I want to repeat that again and again. Footnote 226. The function here is making decisions on our own. To understand why this would give rise to fear, see the manual 17, 5 through 7, which explains that we usurp God's function by trying to do for ourselves what he is meant to do for us, and that once we have taken God's place in this way, we fear him. Who usurps the place of God and takes it for himself now has a deadly enemy. And back to the text. I'm just going to repeat that section again because it's beautiful and very important, and it simplifies everything. To follow the Holy Spirit's guidance is to let yourself be absolved of guilt. It is the essence of the atonement. It is the core of the curriculum. The imagined usurping of functions not your own is the basis of fear. The whole world you see reflects the illusion that you have done so, making fear inevitable. To return the function to the one to whom it belongs is thus the escape from fear. And it is this that lets the memory of love return to you. Do not then think that following the Holy Spirit's guidance is necessary merely because of your own inadequacies. Let's go ahead and read footnote 227. See section 2, 11 through 14 for discussion of our inadequacies. Back to the text. It is the way out of hell for you. It is the way out of hell for you by following the Holy Spirit's guidance. Here again is the paradox often referred to in the Course. To say of myself, I can do nothing, is to gain all power. Footnote 228. See John 5:19. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. This verse is often alluded to in the Course and often in the way mentioned above, as a paradox in which we are both powerless and all-powerful. See, for instance, text chapter 4, section 2. Of your ego you can do nothing to save yourself or others, but of your spirit you can do everything for the salvation of both. Back to the text. And yet it is but a seeming paradox. As God created you, you have all power. The image you made of yourself has none. The Holy Spirit knows the truth about you. The image you made does not. Yet, despite its obvious and complete ignorance, this image assumes it knows all things because you have given that belief to it. Such is your teaching and the teaching of the world which was made to uphold it. But the teacher who knows the truth has not forgotten it. His decisions bring benefit to all being wholly devoid of attack and therefore incapable of arousing guilt. Who assumes a power that he does not have is deceiving himself. Footnote 229. In context, this is the power to make good decisions. In earlier discussions, it has been the power to make ourselves safe and solve our problems. See Manual 6, Section 16 to Section 18. And let me try to change this page, excuse me. The pages are sticking together. And the power to do things like psychic feats that others cannot. All of these are powers that we do not actually have. Back to the text. Yet to accept the power given him by God is but to acknowledge his Creator and accept his gifts. And accept his gifts. And his gifts have no limits. To ask the Holy Spirit to decide for you is merely to accept your true inheritance. Does this mean that you cannot say anything without consulting him? No, indeed, that would be hardly practical, and it is the practical with which this course is most concerned. If you have made the habit of asking for help when and where you can be confident that wisdom will be given you when you need it. Prepare for this in the morning. Remember God when you can throughout the day. Ask the Holy Spirit's help when it is feasible, and thank Him for His guidance at night. 2:30. This is an encapsulation of the daily practice taught to us in the workbook, in which we begin the day with morning quiet time, remember a course idea throughout the day, frequently ask for guidance for our decisions, and then end the day with another quiet time. Back to the text. And your confidence will be well-founded indeed. Section 231. This means that your confidence that wisdom will be given you by the Holy Spirit when you need it, will be well-founded indeed if you carry out the workbook-style discipline described in the previous sentence. Back to the text. Never forget that the Holy Spirit does not depend on your words. Footnote 232. Section 21, What is the role of words in healing, explains that what God answers is the prayer of heart, not the words you use in praying. Back to the text. He understands the requests of your heart and answers them. Does this mean that while attack remains attractive to you, He will respond with evil? Section 233. This concern arises because attack seems to be a call for punishment, and we then become afraid that the Holy Spirit will answer that call with punishment. Hardly. For God has given Him the power to translate your prayers of the heart into His language. He understands that an attack is a call for help, and He responds with help accordingly. God would be cruel if He let your words replace His own. A loving Father does not let His child harm himself or choose his own destruction. He may ask for injury, but his Father will protect him still. And how much more does your Father love His Son? Remember, you are His completion and His love. Section 234. Workbook 162-2-1. Here are the words by which the Son became His Father's happiness, His love, and His completion. Back to the text. Remember, your weakness is His strength. Footnote 235. See 4:1 in this section. To say of myself, I can do nothing, is to gain all power. 2 Corinthians 12:9. And He said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So remember, you are His completion and His love. Remember, your weakness is His strength. But do not read this hastily or wrongly. If His strength is in you, what you perceive as your weakness is but illusion, and He has given you the means to prove it. Ask all things of His teacher, and all things are given you. Footnote 236. This is the proof that His strength is in you, and that your weakness must therefore be an illusion. Back to the text. Not in the future, but immediately, now. God does not wait, for waiting implies time, and He is timeless. Forget your foolish images, your sense of frailty, and your fear of harm, your dreams of danger and selected wrongs. God knows but His Son, and as He was created, so He is. In confidence I place you in His hands, and I give thanks for you that it is so. And now in all your doings be you blessed. God turns to you for help to save the world. Teacher of God, His thanks He offers you, and all the world stands silent in the grace you bring from Him. You are the Son He loves, and it is given you to be the means through which His voice is heard around the world, to close all things of time, to end the sight of all things visible, and to undo all things that change. Through you is ushered in a world unseen, unheard, yet truly there. Holy are you, and in your light the world reflects your holiness, for you are not alone and friendless. I give thanks for you and join your efforts on behalf of God, knowing they are on my behalf as well, and for all those who walk to God with me. Thank you so much for joining with me in the Manual for Teachers. This concludes this section, and this is a beautiful conclusion. I would strongly suggest you read this until, listen to it, read it as often as you need to, come back to it for the reminder when you feel confused, or, this is a great section to remind us of the truth. It's a great summary, and it's a great direction of how we need to spend our days. And we're all teachers and we're all students. And I love you and I thank you.